fine. All
In
right,
this
so we're
case, you can
racing
really
through the
blame the driver.
canyons.
The rider was going way too fast and didn't even notice the speed bump.
Yeah, because the shade's probably blocking a lot of it. Okay, so we're coming up to the intersection, so there's some speed bumps and stuff. Well, where's the speed bump? I think it was more the side of the vehicle kind of popped out. Side of the vehicle popped out. We were coming up to an intersection. We're riding here. We're just kind of doing our thing. We're having fun. And then we get up to here and you start to see road signage. And that's one of those things that if you start seeing road signage, guys, this is why I have my phone on my handlebars. Because I have the GPS going and it shows, hey, guess what? There's other roads popping in. Because when I'm on the curves, it's like it's just that one road, right? And all of a sudden there's more roads. Like, what is this? That's going to let you know ahead of time. You just glance at it. You don't stare at it. You glance at it. You're focused on riding. Obviously, I'm not speeding like this, but you're just like glancing at it. And then if you don't have your GPS, okay, you have your phone in your pocket. You don't see it. You hear it. Okay, not a big deal. We get up to here. You start seeing all these other signs before, like you can't even see. Like pretend this is our vision. You can't really see what's happening. Like, but you see the signs. Slow it down. Intersections are hazardous situations for motorcycle riders. You have to locate those hazardous situations. Is there any relevant threats? Well, there's the side of the vehicle. He immediately responds. That's very good. So we have to navigate. So what he's navigating to put himself into a new position for safety, because he's already swerving right, is applying the brakes and swerving a little bit. Now, how hard is it when it comes to total stopping distance to slow down and stop when you're going super fast? It's pretty hard. You're not going to be able to do it. You're going to need a lot of distance to do that if you're going really fast. If you're going slow, you need a little bit of distance. You're practicing in a parking lot friction zone, you just barely press the brakes, you stop. So like the distance is this. If you go 20, the distance is a lot farther. You go 40, 50, 60, 80, 100, 150, it's much farther. So if you're speeding really hard, or really fast, you're not going to be able to stop or slow down enough before that vehicle right there. So that's why I'm saying slow it down, especially when you start seeing signage. So we see this, we're having fun, right? No other vehicles.
Was going way too fast.
Whatever.
And didn't even notice
You do your
the
thing.
speed bump.
There's no speed bump. So we're coming up to here. We see signage now. And if we have our GPS, we can see. We should have been slowing down during that moment from pause to pause because we're coming into a hazardous situation. But we didn't. Okay, so now let's say you're stuck in this position, right? So I'm telling you what you should be doing. It's up to you if you want to do it. Okay, let's say you're doing this now. What do? You find that escape as best as you can at a high speed. You do your best. You made a mistake. How do you fix it? We can't blame the car. That's not going to fix our problem right now. We can't blame ourselves right now. We have to fix the problem right now. Afterwards, figure out what you did wrong. And that's what we're doing with these videos. So we're figuring out what went right, what went wrong, so that we don't make the same mistakes as somebody living it. So if we're watching this and we're speeding, find the escape path. Get yourself into that escape path as best you can. How do you go from this into the escape path? So now we're talking about skills, right? An emergency swerve. So practice your emergency swerves and practice your emergency braking and practice your emergency accelerations because sometimes you have to accelerate yourself out of there. So it doesn't matter at anything. It comes back to skill. And if you practice and practice and practice and practice, or you watch this, you kind of know what you need to practice. You practice, practice, practice. If something happens, you have the skill to get yourself out of it. And we see a lot of people get in these situations, and we've seen it in some of these crash videos, where they get into this situation, they see the vehicle, they panic, they stay in this line, they start slamming the brakes, and then they low side before they even hit the car, and then they hit the car. They had to layer down. That's because they didn't practice. You need to practice. Save yourself. Or don't put yourself in the position to have to do this. So it's a 2-layer. So anybody understand the Swiss cheese method of risk management? So let's go and take a look. Swiss cheese risk model. Okay. Swiss cheese. Okay, so here's the hazard. Here's one of the skill sets that you have, right? Engineering controls. This is for engineering stuff. You have, it might be blocked by one of your skills, but it's still going to go through. Well, you need another skill. It still might go through. You need another skill. It still might go through. You know, but on some of these, like it might get blocked on this skill. So when it comes to this, like the car's pulling out right here, right? The car's pulling out. Here it is. If we're speeding, we're going to have an issue. If we know how to brake and swerve, or if we know how to brake, we still might have that issue. If we know how to swerve, it might end right here. And the consequence is that you avoided an accident. So here's the thing. Car's pulling out. Let's say you're not speeding. Guess what? It ends right there. Or maybe it just ends right there. So how about we don't speed? So car pulls out. Let's say we have good braking. Still, it's not going to solve the problem, but we're not speeding, so it ends right there. You need multiple different disciplines, multiple different things that you can do to solve your problem. It's not one fits all. So speeding, yes, will help the situation, but it'll help you because it's going to be easier to swerve, and your total stopping distance is going to be a lot easier to manage that. So the more layers you have, so you want to prevent, you want to be able to respond. If the prevention doesn't work, your response should work. If the response doesn't work and it's just out of your hands, you did the best you can. And that's why as smart riders, we acquire and use personal protective equipment, because if the prevention doesn't work, the response doesn't work, nothing works, your gear is hopefully going to protect your body. I don't know why I felt so excited about this one, but got very lucky. So, all right. So good position for safety. You see how you can see the ambulance or whatever in the front? So if they applied the brakes, we can apply the brakes before the blue car. The person's coming in our lane, roll off the throttle, move over to the left. It's not a big deal. Let them in. They're going to win, even though they have the smallest car ever. You're on a motorcycle. This thing still weighs 1,000 pounds more than you. So just let them in. Not a big deal. Be pissed off after that. It's fine. Oh, lost traction. Okay, so what happened here? It's Nocturnal Racer. Same person as this one? Yep. Nocturnal Racer. Nocturnal Racer. Okay, so speed is a thing that this person loves, and that's fine, okay? So we're speeding through the corner. We lost a little traction on our tires, and then it gains traction, lost traction, gain traction, lost traction, kind of like ABS. That's what it does. So if you don't have ABS and you slam the brakes and you start to slide, it's not grabbing, it doesn't have any traction, so it's sliding. Okay? It's kind of like those those sliders for furniture on carpet. You put it underneath, there's no traction, so it slides. But if you don't have that on, it's not going to slide, like heavy furniture. So when you apply the brakes too hard, it's basically like putting little footers on that furniture, and it's just going to slide. Okay? So when you have ABS, what it's doing is it's sliding, grabbing traction, sliding, grabbing traction, sliding, grabbing traction. It's preventing a full slide and loss of balance. And so you're still, losing traction. So in this, with the turn, I don't know if he has traction control or assistance for the turning. The FTR and a few other really good bikes have that traction control, lean angle traction control. What's happening here is that it's losing traction and it's gaining traction, losing traction, gaining traction, losing traction, gaining traction on the turn. That's why it's doing that. Instead of just completely falling down in a low side, which means complete loss of traction, it's gaining, losing, gaining, losing, gaining, losing. That's why you're doing this. And it's scary, but sometimes it can be better. In this situation, I think so. Be better than just actually crashing, because you'd hit the guardrail at high speed and we'd have a lot of injuries there. So now that we gained traction, we're aimed towards the cars. This is where you have to be very aware and be cautious, not panic, because when you panic, you either freeze, fawn, fight, or flee. It's a trauma response. It's a panicked response. And so you can freeze and just keep aiming. You can flee out of there. You can try to fight it. Some of it doesn't apply, but you can freeze is what I'm trying to get at. You can completely freeze and go aiming towards this. That's why you have to pull yourself out of that emergency panic situation and lean on your training. So if you've been riding for a while, you start to lean on your training as a firefighter. It's a very panicked and very intense situation going into a fire. It's a very life and death situation, and you have a lot of skills that you've been training 20 hours a month for years, and in the fire academy, and just a bunch of stuff. You stick to your training because that's what's going to save you. You don't really want to think too much, and so we just focus on the training involved. And if you don't have any training, imagine going into a house fire with zero training. What are you going to do? You're going to wing it, and it's probably going to be wrong. And so with motorcycle riding, if you've trained and focused, and every ride you treat it like it's a training session, not just I'm going to ride and I'm just going to enjoy this and just not pay attention. If you're actually focused, hey, there's a pothole up ahead, I'm going to practice my swerve. I'm going to aim for it and then swerve around it. Hey, I got a swerve practice. Practice, so that when something emergency where your brain goes into a panic, you can just lean on your training. So here, he's probably been riding like crazy for so long that he's been into a lot of these situations. So now he's able to pull himself out of some of these things pretty easily. It's just that when you put yourself in a lot of situations, you need to have more training. It's just that, if I go into 1,000 fires, maybe one of them is going to be it. Maybe if I go into one fire and that's it, I'd be fine. So the more you do things, the more exposure, the more risks that you take. Either way, what I'm trying to get at, train, guys. Just train, because you get up to this point, see how he's able to pull himself out of it.